Joining me on today's Poker Live podcast is one of the most GTO people I've ever met in my entire life, an up-and-coming online tournament player that I think you guys are all going to really enjoy. What's going on, everybody? My name is Joey Grimont, aka Chicago Joey. I don't have much to say today before we get into it, but this is a podcast I'm very excited about. So my guest today is a young man who's been a member of my GTO Club, which I've talked about a couple times over these past 8 months. He's been one of the original members of the group, and this guy is one of the most wisdomatic guys, one of the smartest guys I know. I almost can't believe he plays tournaments, but in these past couple months, he's been on a ridiculous upswing. I think he's up a few $100,000 at this point in time, and it seems like he final tables something almost every single week. I'm not even exaggerating by this. And you know what I said? Like, hey, Ongun, let's do a podcast together. Let's let the people get to know you. And I feel like this is a guy who could be one of those top tournament players in the entire world here coming up in a year or two. So joining me today is a man who goes by the name WayneDaBang on Pokerstars. Real name is Ongun, and I still don't know how to pronounce his last name technically correctly. But what's going on, Poppy? Welcome officially to the podcast, man.
Wow. I'm flattered, dude. I don't know what to say, but that was awesome.
How do I pronounce the last name technically?
It's Yagci. So my parents are from Turkey, and that's why you might have some difficulties.
Yeah, man, this is kind of a long time coming. I feel like for you, because I've always said I want to have one of the guys in the club on the podcast at some point in time, and you've just been killing it, man. It seems like you've been on this ridiculously massive upswing. We saw your graph the other day. It's one of the sickest graphs I've seen. So yeah, man, how's things going? Welcome to the podcast here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Things are going pretty well. There's an echo on your side.
I don't hear an echo over here right now.
Okay.
Might be
Yeah, I mean, things have been pretty good. Variance is on my side the last couple of months, and I enjoy it. I mean, there have been times where it was quite the opposite, and things can switch pretty quickly in tournaments. So when you're upswinging, you just have to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like, if you're going to describe yourself, kid, how would you describe yourself to some other people? Because, the way I would describe you, kind of hear my description, kind of like a very hardworking, you're always in the lab, you're always studying. You do a lot of the things I don't expect most tournament players that actually do with their time. It seems like you are big into the studying part, man. That's something that you really enjoy doing.
Yeah, I think I always enjoyed studying more than I enjoyed actual playing. I tried to play some cash games, but whenever I play cash games, I just find myself like quitting after 1 or 2 hours. So I never really get in any volume. And I think that's why I play tournaments, because I'm just forced to play whenever I start regging. So I think I mean, I live in Amsterdam. My parents are from Turkey. And I started playing when I was, I think, 15, and started to play on Stars. Whoa. Allegedly, of course.
Whoa, okay.
And started out playing sit and goes. And when I turned 18, I played some live cash. And then one day, like I only played really recreationally at the beginning when I was 15, and then I it was always more
allegedly,
allegedly, of course. And then I was 19, and then met this guy in the casino who was who I know played online. Shout out to Felix. And then he was like, "Yeah, you got some talent. Why don't you play online and take it more seriously?" And then I got a stake from him, like a $700 stake for to start out playing online, and went broke on that stake, but had some rake back, like $200 rake back, and then played with that rake back, started playing like $2 180 mans, and then things went pretty smoothly from there.
Things went pretty smoothly from there, huh? How long ago has it been since then?
This was at the end of 2012, I think.
So have you been playing professionally now for, I mean, I feel like, yeah, how long has it been where you consider it a professional, would you say?
I mean, professional meaning that I really take it as serious as a regular job. I would say since a year, maybe, that I take it that serious. Like I've studied for the most part aside from poker, so I didn't really take it serious. But I quit my study, or like I have a break technically from my studies, but I took that break like maybe half a year ago.
Yeah, I think it's about like 6, 7 months ago. This is kind of something you were going through where you were deciding, should I take a break from school to pursue poker full time? And it seems like since you made that decision, you've been just crushing. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. It's always crazy to see, man. It seems like you're at a final table every single weekend, man.
Yeah. You never know how much is due to variance, though. So I try to not get arrogant and just keep working hard and hope that it goes on like this, because you never know.
So I think a lot of people out there sort of struggle with that decision. Should I stay in school? Should I drop out of school, potentially pursue poker? And this was something that you definitely struggled with for the first couple of months that you were in the group. And then finally you decided, hey, like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. And in retrospect, when you look back, so how much school did you have left at the time to get your degree?
It would be 1.5 years.
Yeah. So looking back, I mean, do you feel like that was a smart decision, or what's kind of your thinking about that right now?
I mean, right now I think like school is always waiting for me. I can always go back to school. Poker is not waiting. Poker is really dynamic, and yeah, it just moves so fast. So I feel like poker can be over in like 1 or 2 years, at least with the kind of EV I'm striving towards. And school, I can always jump back into school, so there is not much to lose for me. Especially when I'm so young, I can always go back. And I have no responsibilities towards like a family or wife or children or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so you're 23 right now, correct?
22.
22, 20, man, I still can't believe you're 22. It's crazy. My gosh, I still can't believe you're 22. That's so wild. Because me and you, we've had discussions. We've had a lot of different discussions over time. So, you know, I definitely know a lot about you. This is kind of going to be a fun podcast, I feel like, because I think that other people out there, you know, it'd be exciting for them to get to know you, because you strive to be one of the best poker players in the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really do anything without having like, I'm really competitive, so I try to do my best at everything. Like when we're on the podcast right now, I try to give as much value to the listener as I can and try to give as much wisdom, knowledge as I can. You know?
But I guess you would say that most other people, because you've seen some other poker players too, you've talked with them, you see how they approach poker. Not many people really go into poker and saying, I want to become one of the best. So like when I started, I said, I want to get to the highest stakes. Like that was what my initial goal was from when I began, and that's what I always worked for. But I think a lot of people out there don't necessarily have that goal in mind, because they realize how much hard work it'll take, how much studying it'll take, how much grinding and hours and focus it'll take. But it seems like you are one of those people who says, you know what, I embrace that, and that's what my ultimate goal is.
Yeah. I mean, I think it doesn't have to be necessarily the best, but the best version of yourself is already enough for me. But I feel like still I have a lot to learn, and I learn every time I study. So I feel like there's infinite room to improve. So we'll see.
What's kind of your what's the way that you go upon studying? Because most tournament players, the way I know they study is they go smoke some weed with their roommates, and they talk about, I don't know.
Man, the image of tournament players on the podcast has been screwed over time. Like only negative things about tournament players. But I feel like that's true for. I wonder if that applies more to live players than to tournament players, than to online tournament players. I wonder how the other online guys are studying. I feel like someone like Patrick Leonard, for example, is pretty big into studying.
Yeah, I would think so. Someone like Patrick Leonard. I think that the top online guys, I would assume they're into studying because, I mean, that's sort of how you get to become one of the best. That's how you get to become one of the top, the top online poker players. You got to put in that work. So, but that's a good question, actually. Do you feel like a lot of people that you know are putting a lot of time in terms of the lab and in terms of studying, working with Pio and stuff like that?
I don't really know many tournament players. Like I've met some, but I think most of them do not study with Pio. Yeah.
Yeah, not much. I mean, most poker players in general probably don't study much with Pio. Let's just be honest right now. So it's not like this is specific to tournament players or specific to, cash game players. So it's pretty much kind of like that across the board. And I kind of think one thing that's really interesting about you is that you don't play staked at all. And this is like, you might be one of the only people I know that do this, but you don't play. You play with all in your entire money. And I think you've pretty much done that for most of the recent years, right? Except for the $700 stake, which you bamboozled off there.
I think like that was only a function of me just not being known in the community. And I think the way that the selling pieces market works is that mostly you just buy overpriced pieces from like people who binked once and are famous, and now everyone wants to have pieces of them, or you just known generally in the community. But mostly, if people don't know you, they expect you to underprice so that they can buy, because there's a perceived, like, there's a chance of you just screwing over or just ripping off people if no one knows you. So I never really wanted to underprice my pieces, even though I did it once or twice. But and that's why I never really liked to sell pieces, because I know my EV is higher when I play on my own, and it's just a time of volume to grind it in.
So how do you feel like that's that sort of maybe changed your mentality when you're grinding up right now? Because I think a lot of tournament players, if they've had the success you've had, they'd be playing like live 10Ks. They'd be putting up their results on 2+2 and getting staked and selling with markup. But it seems like you haven't really wanted to go that approach. You sort of just keep wanting to stay on track and build it up and build it up and build it up with your own.
Yeah, I mean, starting to play 10Ks, I would have to sell a big piece of myself to do that. And as I said, I never really had the chance to do it. And playing 10Ks on my own would be really, really stupid. Like, that's the best way to go broke.
Well, in theory, that's true. But I don't know. A lot of guys out there, they start going an upswing. They make $100,000. They make $200,000. They decide, hey, this 10K soft, I'm going to go take a shot at it. And even they don't, they know the variance is high, but it seems like something happens to people once they start winning. All of a sudden, they start overestimating where their edges are.
Yeah, for sure. I think the last part of what you said just is spot on. They overestimate and they underestimate the variance. And although, like, man, they have free variance calculators all over the internet. Like, you can put in your volume, you can put in your perceived ROI, and then figure out how big the variance is, and then you'll see that over small samples, it's just enormous.
Yeah, I mean, the variance is super high in poker, even if you're one of the top players, even if you're taking a shot in a game where you have an edge, you cash game, a tournament, there's still going to be a lot of variance involved in that. And a lot of times the downside of losing doesn't necessarily overcome the upside of winning. And almost if you do win, sometimes even worse for you, because then you're going to be more inclined to put yourself in positions like that in the future. And that's how you go broke. That's how a lot of people go broke, is they just, you know, they take shots in these games. They think they have an edge, but even if they do, it doesn't matter sometimes.
Yeah. So. I think one of the most crucial qualities in a poker player is definitely to be brutally honest with yourself and to really look at, like, you just have to get rid of your ego and look at reality the way it is and not the way you wish it was.
So when you look at yourself, what kind of things come to mind for you when you say being brutally honest with yourself?
I think I have a natural tendency to observe myself pretty much all the time. And yeah, I think that's really natural to me. I think that's the way I always was, basically. And so it's not and also I have a tendency to look more on my mistakes than on stuff that I do well. I think that's why I might even be biased towards, I might even be on like the opposite end of that spectrum, where I probably underestimate myself more often than I overestimate myself.
Yeah, I think that was one of the questions we talked about. Dr. Ivan Joseph on the podcast had a discussion about self-confidence, and that was one of the things that you had asked was, in poker, when we're so focused, we're supposed to focus on bettering our mistakes, fixing our leaks. It can be something where it might hurt our self-confidence because we're only focusing on the negatives of our game rather than the positives of our game. But at the same time, you also talked about that's how we get better, is we get better by fixing our positives.
Yeah. I try to now mark also more hands that are played well, rather than only marking hands that are played bad. And I hope that changes things, that like I get to see more what I do well instead of only looking at what's bad.
Yeah, I know you brought that up the other day when we were talking. You said instead of us just looking at hands we do poor, we look at hands we do well, so then we can get some self-confidence from those hands that we did well. And I think self-confidence, obviously, it's a tricky thing, because in poker, even if we've won a lot of money, it's sometimes hard to keep that confidence all the time. And I know for yourself, that's something that you sort of go back and forth with. But I feel like it's something that's greatly improved over these past 6 months.
You think so?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, from when you first came to the group and when I first got to know you, everyone else in the group got to know you, I think that, yeah, you feel like, but that's sort of natural. What comes with success is that when you start having success, you start to realize, well, maybe this is actually legitimate. Maybe this winnings is actually legitimate. It's not just potentially always being on the right side of variance. Whereas before, you've had success, but at the same time, it was something, well, like, man, is it sustainable? Is it just variance? It's something where that variance thing kind of can fuck with your mind, and you never want to be too careful. So I think the approach is a good one to take, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, self-confidence thing is crazy, because I think in cash games, it's easier to regain self-confidence, but in tournaments, it's a little bit more challenging. So when you feel like yourself, how do you handle that? How do you handle, I guess, always maintaining it or keeping it high or getting it back when it does drop off and that doubt starts to come in?
I usually just start to study more. I think studying is my way of gaining confidence, actually, because whenever I study, I just feel like I gain more knowledge and I see the edge more. And yeah, that's the way I gain confidence to jump into games, basically, to just study and then get better.
Yeah, I think knowledge, Dr. Ivan Joseph talked about preparation and gaining knowledge equals preparation. And that's how you can gain self-confidence in what you do. And for some reason, I just feel like I didn't do that for many years at poker. I'd be going through a downswing. I never really had the term downswing in my vocabulary. I think that was something I talked about straight away. When I was losing, I'm like, man, I'm just losing. I never looked at it as a downswing because I think downswing has such a negative connotation with it when you're like, man, I'm on a fucking downswing. Where I was just like, man, I lost for a couple weeks, a couple days. Now I'm going to make it back. I'm going to get back on the horse. So it's just kind of weird how in poker, there's little words. You can frame them one way or you can frame them another way. You can use one word for motivation and some people can use one word to just bring them down completely.
Yeah. It's great when you just can have that approach. I think most people can't really just keep on going without changing something. Yeah, I mean, I certainly couldn't. I think I heard that the first time from Daniel Dvares, who was like, yeah, whenever he's on a downswing, I think he does that too, where he puts in more and more hours studying, and then he gains back his confidence, basically, and plays.
I'm not sure how much you want to get into this stuff, but what are the ways that tournament players can study these days and work on their game and get better?
I think it's basically the same tools as cash game players use as well. I don't think there's like a big difference between studying there. I mean there's more like small stack stuff, but that's usually like you can solve that pretty easily. There's not much complexity going on there, I would say. Yeah.
So you think with the small stacks, there's not much complexity that happens?
I mean, it's definitely less than if the stacks are bigger.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, obviously, just from stack size. I know some people might almost take that for granted and might think that they don't need to work at the small stacks because the complexity isn't as deep. But at the same time, I think that maybe we've seen from some of the top players like a Fedor that maybe there are different ways potentially to play with the smaller stack sizes, and what might be standard or what might be what everyone should do isn't always necessarily the case.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can always like tweak little things and gain little edges, but usually like the game tree is just way bigger when stack sizes are bigger. You have more opportunities to take advantage of your opponents. And the more you reduce stack size, the less is that the case.
Yeah, Nonstop says people who say that short stack play is easy always suck at short stack play. Such an interesting statement, because I used to say that back in the day when I was playing. I was playing a lot of. I'm gonna admit something here. Unfortunately, when I was playing full stacked, I used to say that all the time. And then when I started to try half stack play, for a number of different reasons, I realized how much more complicated it actually was than I initially thought it was. I used to think, man, it's so easy to play with that. But really, there's so many of these unique things you can do playing with a short stack at Pot Limit Omaha that I was sort of like mind blown. And turns out a lot of people are making a lot of big mistakes. Nah, never mind. I'm just done talking. I'm done, man. Listen, I'm not advocating anybody do that. Obviously, at tournaments, though, you got to play with that short stack pretty often because most of the times those stack sizes effectively when it comes down to the halfway through the tournament, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean, just to set that correctly, I didn't say short stack play is easy. I just said it's less complex. That's the difference.
Yeah, I don't think it's as easy as you pick up Jack and you shovel it. Maybe it is that easy. I don't know. But it seems like, if it was that easy, everyone would be winning at poker. Everyone would be winning at tournaments. And obviously that's not the case.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the stack size. If that's correct or not. But yeah, it's, I think I love tournaments because, it's more dynamic. Because like you have various stack sizes and various blinds and like chip EV spots and ICM spots, and your play just varies a lot, and I think that's what I enjoy.
You don't enjoy the 100 big blind stack sizes and the kind of consistent where it just stays the same, and most of the time it pretty much stays the same. Obviously some things change, but for the most part it's I feel like it's different than tournaments are.
Yeah, I think I also enjoy the 100 big blind spots, but the great thing is just that it varies and that you get it's never boring. And also, of course, man, the deep runs are not comparable to any cash game experience. The thrill during deep runs.
You haven't played high stakes at Pot Limit Omaha online then before, because experience is very similar to going deep in the tournament. Except it's every hand where, I just put up a PLL video today where played a $80,000 hand. So that was a spot that was a little bit heart inducing. I don't know if I'm getting the right place here, but that was a little bit heart pumping inducing for sure.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that.
But seriously, how do you make a deep run every week? I don't understand, because it seems like literally it seems like twice a week you're in some sort of deep run. The other day you took down the 100. I don't even know any people were in that one. That was a huge field. That was a pretty big field for that bounty builder.
Oh yeah, that was a very intense heads up match as well. Because like when you play those bounty builders, usually first gets twice as much as second, and then the heads up is just very, very important. But I think it just comes down to volume. You just have to play a lot and play well, and then variance, of course.
That easy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, play well.
You make poker sound so easy, kid. Every time I chat, you make it sound like it's a very, and I sort of think of it that way too. I think of like, well, you play, you win. That's just kind of how it works. But it's just not that easy, unfortunately. Like I sort of think the same thing too about poker, but it's from seeing other people struggle with it so much. Much harder than that.
Yeah, I mean, did they start with 15 years old?
I mean, I don't know. Listen, I'm not sure what age people are. I'm not keeping track of ages. I'm not keeping track of where you live, where people live, or what site they play on. I don't know what they do on Gun. Okay, I don't. Allegedly, right? Allegedly, they may or may not have. I don't know. The only kid I know who started at that age is my buddy George, and he's the richest 23-year-old I know right now. Well, maybe not. I don't know if Fader is 23. It's got to be close to the two of them.
I mean, I'm just saying that, like, if you want to truly master something, you just have to spend a lot of hours doing it. Like, there's this 10,000 hour rule where like people say, we basically like studied all these people who are masters at their craft, and they all spent like the equivalent of 10,000 hours just practicing. And I think it really comes down to that. I don't think I had much talent starting out. I think actually I was very average when I started out, or like maybe even worse. But when you practice and study, it at some point you will get there. It's just a question of persistence, I would say. and having the right tools.
So for you, what do you think that, how do you think you kept being persistent and kept at it and kept at it and kept working at it?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. Like when I think back, I had a lot of moments where I was just where the grind was just horrible, and I was really doubting myself. But the next day I always found myself back at the tables. I'm not sure why that is. But yeah, the same way that maybe some people, hate their job, but they still go do it the next day. The same way I would say, I don't hate poker. I actually love it, but sometimes you just get beat down. But then the next day, it's like a boxer, man. Sometimes you get beat down, but then the next day you're in the ring again.
I love this conversation because it all sounds so easy when people listen to this. Because I definitely thought the same way you thought too before I started the club and I started working with people and coaching people, and then I realized how much more challenging it was for some people, because I would agree that that's how it's always been for me. I play, I lose, I wake up the next day, I fucking do it again. That's just how I always approached it. I didn't know there was another way to approach it. But it seems like so many people, they aren't able to do that for whatever reason. Now, when you think about yourself, what do you think it is? Like, what do you think deep down allows you to be this way, to fall off the horse, but then get back up the next day, and just keep at it, keep working?
Let me think about it. I think I'm just always really excited to get back into it. I'm like, I just feel like, what else would I do? When I'm literally, what else would I do if I'm not playing poker? I could do some other things, which I think I don't think I'm going to play poker as a profession for the rest of my life. But as of right now, I just enjoy playing, I guess. I do believe, by the way, that I'm a big believer in you have to do whatever it is you're doing, just for the sake of it, and not for if money was no object, I think I would still play poker, not to the extent I'm playing now, but you just have to enjoy what you're doing, and then you just do it. There's no secret to it, I think. Or do you?
No, I think there's a secret. I do think there's a secret, because this has kind of been something I've noticed amongst people. I mean, maybe not all people, but for me, I always did it because I always just had this ultimate dream in my mind that was just overtook my entire life. All my thoughts consumed it. So that was just fueled me every single day I woke up. It's all I thought about. So I just had to get back to it. I just wanted to get to this point, get to these stakes, get to that level. And I feel like the best players out there, people who are able to do that, be persistent, they share that same thing. And also they feel like they have no other option. I think when you feel like you have no other option in your life and you need to make this work and need to be successful at it, then you just do it, because instinctively you just have to. Yeah. So I think that's a big reason why a lot of people out there persistently and keep at it and keep it up.
Yeah. Interesting. I've never thought about it this way. And also, I don't feel like there's nothing else I can do. I think there's actually a lot of stuff which sounds really interesting to me, and I could imagine myself doing something else. But I enjoy the lifestyle in poker. I think the freedom that comes with it. But one thing I've noticed, I listened to a Sauce podcast the other day, and he seems to really enjoy playing, which I think I'm more like just enjoying studying and then play. Like sometimes playing is pretty difficult for me, but he just seems to like enjoy it as much as, I don't know, nothing else probably.
Yeah, I think that definitely has to play a part for a lot of people too. I think I also really, really enjoyed playing, but kind of what I said before, it was kind of two separate categories where I think it might combine where someone wants to become one of the best and then they also feel like they have another option in their life. But oftentimes I think it's probably one or the other for a lot of people. So people keep playing because they feel like they have nothing else. They have no other option. So they keep being persistent. Whereas others play because they simply want to get to the top stakes. They want to become one of the best. And I think you just mentioned something really good, which is that enjoying playing, I feel like is pretty important. I've always enjoyed playing poker. I've always enjoyed playing Pot Limit Omaha. And I imagine if you just didn't fucking like playing, it would be pretty hard to keep at it, keep being persistent every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Although, like, I sometimes tend to put too much pressure on myself to perform well, and that takes away the fun. And I think I try to be more. I'll try to be less. Like I'll try to put less pressure on myself, I think, in the future, and then I'll get more fun, I think.
So how can you actually do that? How can you put less pressure on yourself on a week-to-week or a month-to-month basis?
If I had the answer to that, I would already have implemented it.
I think for me, it's just kind of like not always reminding myself of something that I want to do, and not like every single day waking up being like, oh fuck, I need to do it like this, or if I don't get this, then my life's over. I think it's just sort of realizing that no matter what, things are going to be okay, and even if you don't get there, get to wherever it is that you want to get to. I mean, I don't know. I certainly put a lot of pressure on myself coming up in poker. That's a goddamn fact. So, I mean, I'm not an expert at this as well. I'd like to know how to get better at that too. I feel like putting pressure on yourself sometimes a good thing. Like, I don't know. I kind of like putting a little bit of pressure on myself.
I think the way you put pressure on yourself might be different than my way. I think I have a lot of negative self-talk when I do that. And that's just something that takes away the fun. So I don't know. Is it the same experience for you?
No, I don't know. Not really. I don't do much negative self-talk. It's more just like, all right, I really think I can get here. I think I have what it takes to get here. I think I can put the work in to get here. So I'm going to get there.
That sounds like positive pressure. Doesn't sound like the type of pressure that puts you down.
Yeah. I think that's probably true. I guess I've never really been that way about putting myself down if I don't do it. I'm not like, yeah, I'm a failure. I can't win at one of the hardest games in the entire world at poker to win. Like poker's hard. It's incredibly hard. It's incredibly challenging. There's a reason why 95% of people, give or take a few percentage, don't win at poker, because it's very hard, and also because #more rake. The rake's too fucking high. It's just a fact. It's not a speculation. It's a fact right there. So I think when you factor all those things in, it's just very hard to win at poker. So I think putting pressure on yourself to get to this level that very few people in the world get to, might not be the not beating yourself up because of that. I think that's, to me, it seems just like a logical thing to do.
That's great if it's this way for you. I mean, if it seems just like that's very natural for you, that you just don't think about beating yourself up, or like it just doesn't come to your mind, basically.
Yeah, but it does come to a lot of people's mind. That's true. That's
because like for the majority of people, I think that's different. They have a lot of negative self-talk.
Speaking of, actually, this is unrelated. I'm seeing a question here from the chat, man. A young John Spicer in the chat says, Mr. DaBang, I have a first date tomorrow. I'm very nervous about it. Have you got any advice for me? Big shout out to Johnny out there. What's up, puppy? Kodamosa, man. What do you think, Ongun?
A tip for a first date.
First date, man. First date. What you got for a first date?
Don't go to a cinema.
don't go to the cinema.
No.
Why not?
Because you can talk. And
I would argue a cinema is a very great first date in a lot of situations because you don't have to talk. And it's a lot of... I'm going to give a secret, guys. If you're watching this, listen right now. This is one of the most biggest GTO things I've ever said in my entire life. When you take a girl or a woman to the cinema, usually a girl when you're younger, a cinema is a perfect place to do it. One, because you get to do the arm around, you get to do the arm on the leg, you get to test out the field, man. You get to put the arm, you get to put the hand right on the knee. And what you do, here's what you do, guys. You put the arm around, you see what the feel's like, right? Are they pulling in? Are they pushing out? Like, well, what's kind of the real? Can you pull them in a little bit? Then you put the hand on the knee. This is where the fun starts. You start the hand on the knee. You start doing a little rubbing. You maybe start doing that. Maybe you go, and eventually you kind of feel it out. And that, because my goal on going back in the day, I used to always go to the movies. My entire approach at the movies was, I'm trying to get some at the movies, man. That was just me. I'm 19, I'm 20, 21. You know, I'm a young kid. I'm out of line. So that was my approach. Wouldn't care about no talking on gun. I was trying to make some magic, man. So I think a cinema is a perfect approach for that. But if you want to get to know the person, I mean, you get to know them, just maybe a different part of them.
No, I mean, you don't get to know them. Come on, you're watching a movie and you're trying to hit on her. It seems like. And
I'm 21 years old. Of course, I'm trying to get. What do you mean?
But I mean, I mean, it's just not my style in the cinema. Come on, man. And I doubt it's Johnny's style, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk after the movie. The movie ends. There's kind of my thinking, right? Instead of that awkward conversation you might have with someone, now the movie, it's all good. You guys bang, bang, right? You get whatever. And then afterwards, you're just in a great place to talk. You still get to talk after the movie. Like, believe me, I've been in the lab. This isn't coming from a place of speculation or assumption. This is coming from a place of lab work, simmed and prepared, written about, submitted to the Science Academy of Chess. All right, this is official.
How big is your success rate doing that?
Hi. Listen, you get them to the movie. That's the first step. If they go to the movie with you, they're obviously interested in you.
I would say go to a bar. That would be my starting point. Going to the cinema just doesn't sound very GTO to me, man. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm done. I've tested that second theory as well. Turns out that works as well, too. Listen, man, I know. Yeah, my sample may be different than others. I think that's true. That's true, man. Whatever. Let's move on here, man. So you're one of these guys I know. You've got one of the most balanced approaches to things in terms of with having your girlfriend and managing that, and with poker as well. The way you do it is incredibly impressive. So what's your approach to trying to manage that entire aspect of being in a serious relationship where you love and you care for the person and you want to spend time with them and make them happy, but at the same time, you also want to play poker a good amount of time?
Yeah. So the way it works for me is just that since I have a distance relationship, whenever I'm with my girlfriend, I try to just let go of poker and basically like reduce it to only Sundays, and the rest of my time just belongs to her and friends and family. And whenever I'm here, I try to keep communicating every day, which was a struggle for me in the beginning, but I'm getting there, and and yeah, it works pretty good that way, because like whenever I'm here, I can focus on my job, and whenever I'm with her, I can focus on that side of my life. So
how do you turn that off though? Because I can never turn it off, man. When I go, if I'm going out with to one of the movies, I'm still thinking about poker, right? I'm still thinking about how can I want to play more poker. I got my girl. I'm still thinking about, all right, I'm missing out on equity here by not playing poker. So how do you manage that desire while you're with her?
Whenever I have a bad session, I can't really control it. Like I have to I have to review, I have to correct some mistakes. But if that doesn't happen, it comes very natural, because like I just want to spend time with her. It seems like you never really maybe you didn't really want to spend time with the girls you hang out with. Because like if you go to the cinema, man, you just watch a movie, you don't really hang out with the people you're going there.
That's true. Maybe when I was younger, as I've gotten older, we're a little bit less cinema dates happening there. Unfortunately, maybe I need to bring the cinema date back. It sounds pretty GTO from my description of it. Really don't. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe that I just didn't. That was what it was. Was that I wanted to spend time with my baby poker, my girl Pot Limit Omaha, my wife, the great game of PLO, instead of the girls I was with.
Yeah, I mean, sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. You just care about your girlfriend so much. You love her so much that desire to want to spend time with her overcomes the desire to want to always play poker and want to become one of the best at poker.
Yeah, I think though for me it really goes together as well. I don't feel like both sides are contradicting each other. I think she has been a great support for me in the past whenever poker wasn't going well, and she also understands that I just have a big desire to be a good poker player, and that it contributes to my happiness overall. So and in that way it goes together. I just don't look at it as this versus the other. I look at it as both things go together.
I guess this kind of comes down to framing. I always looked at it very contradictory, very much is that the more mental energy I put into a relationship, the more mental energy and focus I take away from poker. So, and also it sounds like you have a good support system set up from her in terms of when you're struggling, she'll pick you up. When you're doing well, she's there for you as well too. Whereas I feel like maybe in the past with myself, that necessarily wasn't always the case, and that when I'm struggling or when I'm doing bad, maybe handling those emotional swings of losing $25,000, $30,000 in a week or in a day or in a couple of days, maybe the support system wasn't similar, or I just didn't know how to handle that support. And maybe that's kind of what it comes down to. So it sounds like you've just got a good way of framing that where it just makes it work really well.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. But do you feel like, do you enjoy meeting friends?
I enjoy meeting poker friends. I enjoy meeting friends when I see them. Correct. Yeah.
But like then it's not hard for you to like enjoy it without thinking about poker. That's the question.
Yes.
Or is it always something that's only to girlfriends? Like, do you know what I mean?
Great point. There are definitely certain friends when I hang out with them, I enjoy it a lot, and I don't think about playing poker at all.
Yeah. So maybe then you just didn't enjoy to hang out with your girlfriends.
No. Yeah, that sounded like the case when you break it down like that. I think that's a great point. I think that's something I've been noticing now is that when I spend time talking with certain people, that desire to go work isn't necessarily there. Whereas when I talk to other people, I'm like, fuck, man, I want to go work. Yeah. So maybe that's the case, is that if you just enjoy hanging out with someone that much, then that desire won't be there.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about it. Like, because that it also applies to when I spend time with my friends. I just want to be with them. I'm not on my phone. I'm not thinking about playing. I'm just with them and enjoying the time with them.
So in that situation, though, do you feel like it's sometimes, well, I guess if you enjoy poker, because maybe if you go and play poker, then in that instance, you sort of desire to be with the friends or with the girl?
Not really, no. When I play poker, I am just, my mind is, I'm so focused. I don't really think I have states of this high focus in like any other thing I do. Because like when I'm playing poker, you can hardly talk to me. I'm like not really listening.
I've heard that from some people that may have been in the room playing poker and seen you playing poker when you were playing, and they said they may have tried talking to you, and you have like a a strategy you use when you play online poker.
What do you mean?
In terms of listening to a song. I don't know if this is I don't know if I should talk about this or not, but is this a public thing? You have like an approach where we play a song.
Which one do you mean?
I don't know. I forgot the name of the song. It would come back to me, but you play one song.
I have like my so mostly I have times where I just really listen to one song because it's so amazing, and I would just listen to it in the loop. Right now there are like 3 or 4 songs from Logic, which are like in a loop, basically. And yeah, and then at some point I just hate it because I have like over-listened it. I just have an overdose, and then I move on to something else.
The song I listen to is Yayo. I listen to that song. All I know is Yayo. Every time I hit the block, you want me, and I'm the don't go. Something. I don't know how the song goes, but yeah, I mean, people in the chat, we listen to Yayo. You ever listen to Yayo?
I have heard about it, yeah.
Yeah. All I know is Yayo. Man, that song's so good. Oh my gosh, I love that song, man. I guess so going forward here, man, you got your girlfriend, you got your poker. What's kind of, what's kind of your short-term ideas, goals that you might have for these next, 3, 4, 5 months?
Something I want to work on is protecting my sleep. Like, I feel like being a poker player, you just don't really have a set sleep schedule. And I feel like whenever I don't sleep well, my next day is just a disaster in terms of focus, energy, and stuff like that. So I've been thinking about how I could install some habits that make it easy for me to sleep well.
So what are you thinking? What kind of ideas you got?
I started with reading before I go to bed, because I found that, like, especially turning off my screen is pretty helpful. And reading, I haven't tried meditating before bed. I should try that, I think, because I think that just makes a lot of sense. Meditating before going to bed. Usually I meditate in the morning. So yeah, maybe I should try it in the evening.
Yeah, I think meditating or listening to something before you go to sleep. I've done that a few times when I could not sleep, and it's worked every single time. But normally now I just go to sleep always. I don't know. It's really strange. And
yeah,
it may or may not be performance enhanced, of course, to go to sleep sometimes on occasion, shout out to over the counter, shout out to over the counter things. But so yeah, that might help. That might just help. So
yeah.
But without that, I think some people smoke a lot of weed before. You're not one of those weed tournament guys, right? On Gone. You're not one of those guys that's doing the weed and going to sleep beforehand or afterwards.
Not really, no. I hardly smoke anything. Like, I just don't really enjoy smoking weed for the most part.
Yeah. Do you have maybe some other things you've enjoyed doing that perhaps you've had life epiphanies at some point in time? Maybe you've done something and then you had this epiphany of a theory or anything like that? Is that ever came to be?
Oh yeah. So I might have not, or like I let's say there was a stranger, and that stranger put some psychedelic substance in my sandwich.
Okay, that
happens sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
I consumed that sandwich, and things happen, and I started.
I've been there. You gotta tell me about this. I've eaten that sandwich before. I know how it goes. People give me sandwiches all the time, man.
Yeah, and sometimes there's some LSD in it. Just happens. And
what kind of food you eating?
And yeah, I mean, anyway, so me and a friend took some LSD, and so at first the experience was quite interesting. So at first, like, things start moving. So everything gets into motion basically, and it seems like everything comes to life, like even objects. And that part was very enjoyable. And then I started to hit a phase where I was quite confused, and I couldn't really like distinguish myself from anything else, which was I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, but I had the feeling that basically I couldn't make out a center of my experience. I think that's the best way to describe it. Like, usually when you're experiencing something, you perceive yourself as being the center of your perception, and everything basically goes around you. And I didn't have that feeling anymore. I was just, I don't know, very confused. And then when I got out there, I noticed that basically at that point my life was a big mess, and that was and I could see that through like my room, because my room was a mess. And then I started noticing, all right, I have to clean up my thoughts, and my room basically was a symbol for my inner state. And then I also started to like clean up my room. And I noticed that this was quite healing for me, to like clean up the room, to clean up my thoughts, basically.
Let me get this straight. First of all, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So you go to a sandwich shop and someone gives you a sandwich. The sandwich in the shop, use the code. By the way, if you want to get a sandwich like Ongun, you can use the code GTO10 to get 10% off your first sandwich. That's GTO10 code when you go to the sandwich shop in Amsterdam that Ongun went to. So you went to the sandwich shop. The sandwich happens to have some LSD in the sandwich. You eat, you consume the sandwich. You're at home. You're with a friend, and then you're enjoying the time. You sort of disconnect from who you are and from what the world is. You look around. You notice that your bedroom is dirty. It isn't clean. You then put it together that your room being disorganized was actually a metaphor for your life being disorganized. Then you decided to clean up your room, and that was something that was therapeutic and that helped make you feel better. And since that point, you've always called this the Ongun theory, and then people around you have started doing that as well when they realized their own life was a little bit disorganized, and helping to organize their space around them makes their own room and life feel more organized.
Wow. Yeah, that's a perfect summary.
I want to go to the sandwich shop. I am all in on this sandwich, Poppy. My God, put me in touch with the person that gave you this sandwich. I'd like to shake their hand and spend a night with them.
Have you had similar experiences?
No.
No.
No, I have not had an experience like that where I looked around and I realized that, hey, I need to clean up my room because my life, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never quite put it together. I think there may have been some, ketamine experiences where I came. He must have had the sandwich. So when I came out of that, I come out of that state, and I may have had some thoughts, but nothing quite like that. That was the Ongun theory was born in that moment. And now there are many people in the GTO Club who refer to this as the Ongun theory, and I think about this all the time because I think it's very accurate for myself. Is that when my life is most disorganized, usually my place is the most disorganized as well. And when I get my place back on track is when I can start to get my life a little bit more organized too.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, since we spend so much time in our rooms, like grinding, basically it just becomes a matter for ourselves because we spend so much time in it. It's our main environment, so yeah.
I'm ready to remodel my office today, man. I'm shaking this place up. I'm going to do some sort of crazy stuff in here now because that's a good point. You know, I feel like, I don't know, do you manage to keep the place pretty clean these days?
For the most part, yeah. I think I'm cleaning like every week. Every week once, and yeah, keep it that way. I just basically I never come to the point where it's like really, really messy. So I keep track of it.
I guess it becomes a habit once in a while once you become used to cleaning up and keeping it clean. I'm like looking around my desk now, man. I'm like, fuck, I'm ready to clean this up on the podcast here. Maybe I'll do a live stream where I clean after this because yeah, I don't know. Guys, we got a lot of live stream questions out there, live stream chat, comments. I appreciate everybody tuning in today as well. You don't play Pot Limit Omaha, right? Ongun, the great game. You ever heard 4 cards instead of 2? Don't fold the 3 bets ever?
I play whenever I'm drunk.
Oh?
Yeah, and then I play like micro stakes and dunk around, basically.
What do you think about the great game?
It's great. I mean, it's the great game, right? It's amazing. Like you can have insane draws, like draws that basically never end. Like half the deck is you're out.
Wow, I know.
How insane is that?
The great game of Pot Limit Omaha. I agree with you, Ongun. I think it's just such a fabulous game. You don't have to fold the 3 bets ever. In fact, it's sometimes wrong to fold the 3 bets ever. So, but you don't plan to transition away from multi-table tournaments anytime soon, correct?
No, we'll see what the future brings, but at this point, no.
Someone chat says, yo, what is a good book on PLO math? Listen, after the video I put out today, I clearly am not the advocate for fucking Pot Limit Omaha math when it comes to 3-way all-ins with side pots. So don't ask me about Pot Limit Omaha math. I clearly don't know how to put this calculation in thing. So, all right, let's talk about GTO Club a little bit. So GTO Club, you know, I saved this for the second half of the podcast. So you've been a part of this since the beginning. I started it back at the end of August, early September. I haven't talked about it too much. You know, I don't really bring it up much on podcasts. It's sort of just something I talked about a few times, and that's about it. But it seems like you've definitely enjoyed the experience. It seems like, you know, when we talk about things, it seems like it's had a positive impact on you. And yeah, what's kind of been your experience with being a part of that for these past bunch of months? I can't believe it's been that long, actually.
Yeah. So I think my main goals with the GTO Club are just to have a community that's positive, because like as a poker player, you're like playing poker is a really lonely path. You're studying alone, you're playing alone, and having a good positive community is really, really valuable. So that was one goal, and the other one is to be accountable for whatever you want to accomplish, and that was really helpful for daily habits, like installing daily habits like stretching, meditation, stuff like that. Like you post it in the forums, people ask you if you're doing them or not, if you're lazy or not, and then you just automatically more like you just think about it more and try to do it.
So I feel like how important do you think it's been to have a positive, I guess, support system of positive people around you that you can get feedback from or just be encouraged by or be sort of brought up by, instead of having people around you who maybe nobody, or people who potentially are negative and toxic and sort of don't bring you up at all when it comes to what you're doing with your career?
Yeah, I think that's really really crucial for living a good, happy life. Like if you have people, like basically the way that humans evolved is in a group. We are social primates. So for the last couple of thousand years, we evolved in groups, mainly our family. And whenever you were in tough times, you turn to your peers and try to get feedback or get advice. And having a positive attitude is very important in that process.
Yeah, I think that's, I know for myself, it's been that's been accurate my entire, pretty much these past 10, 11 years. I think that for the most part, the people I kept around me at poker for a couple of years have always been pretty positive people. You know, when you're winning, they didn't show like an envious attitude or a negative attitude towards you just because you're winning at poker. Because I mean, for a while, a lot of my friends, we were all playing small stakes, full ring. And then I switched over to PLO to get Supernova Elite. And then, you know, before you know it, after that, I'm playing the highest stakes and I'm winning $100,000. So I think that the people I was able to keep around me then were always very supportive, very like uplifting with, with their words. But I was losing. And then the friends I've made along the way have been very similar. And I guess I never really had many toxic people in my life, or, I always sort of had a couple people around me in my life. And I would imagine if you don't have many people around in any sort of way, it could be a pretty big negative too. If you just sort of going by yourself and going through the highs and the lows by yourself, I imagine that wouldn't be, I don't know, it doesn't seem very fun to me.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I joined the club, basically. I never really had any poker friends. Most of my friends I know from high school. And that's why I joined, to like share the ups and downs, share the emotions that are going wild sometimes.
Do you feel like, I guess I'll ask here. I don't know the answers to these questions could be now, but do you feel like you've been able to learn some other things or pick up some other things from other members that have been in the group over time? Or do you feel like, I guess, what do you feel like your biggest takeaways have been so far since you've been in it? You can be as honest as you can. This is recorded, but at the same time, I'm genuinely curious about this. So I'm going to put you on the spot for some of these things now.
I mean, I don't really care like how other people perceive what I say. What is my biggest takeaway? I think my biggest takeaway is that how big of a role soft skills play, and how important it is, especially for poker, to have good habits outside of poker. I think that was my biggest takeaway from the club, and getting on track all those habits.
So which habits do you think those are that matter the most?
I think meditation is very important for me. I think exercise is very important for me. And those are really important for your performance as well. I think going outside is very important for a poker player.
I agree. I agree with that now. I never walked before the group started. Now I walk all the time.
Yeah. That is very important. Eating healthy, very important. And man, those are things that that's not only important for a poker player, but for everyone. Like if you're not meditating, and doing those other habits in some way, it's you're missing out on something that is so easy to do, especially the meditation. And also, I've thought about this quite a bit, and I think like whenever you start new habits, the way the learning curve works is that in most things it is approximately exponential at the beginning, and then it flattens out. So it's approximately logarithmic. So it goes up in the beginning very rapidly, and then it flattens out. And then towards the end, you make only very, very small gains. And that means if you start doing it, like whenever you start doing something new, your gains in the beginning of that are really, really big. And that's why if you meditate for 15 minutes, you make so many gains in those 15 minutes. It's really huge. And with all those other things as well, with like exercising, it doesn't have to be something you do every day for 2 hours, but do it like 15 minutes. And it doesn't have to be in the gym, but something. I mean, literally anything that gets you going.
Silver says, when you meditate, what is your meditation centered on?
What do you mean? Like, what does it mean? It doesn't mean like, do I use guided meditation or?
Right. I think that's kind of what he's saying. Is it guided? Is it where you have a mantra? Is it an app, like a Headspace or a Calm? You know, what's sort of your approach with the meditation?
I sometimes use no guidelines, and sometimes I have the pre-session like guided meditations that I do as well. So, but also there, I think anything like whatever works best for you, do that would be my advice. It doesn't really, it's not a big deal if you use guided or unguided or like whatever is best for you. Do that.
Clement says, can he give some advice? Can he gives out advice on study habits outside of poker?
Study habits outside of poker? I would say, so during I studied psychology, and something I've learned there is that mostly when you take breaks after, like basically if you have 3 hours you want to study, then I wouldn't do it in one block, but would spread it out so that, let's say you do 1 hour and then you take a break, and then you do another hour, you take a break, and then you go, I don't know, go walking, and then after an hour or so, you do it in the evening or something. So I would try to spread it a little bit, because usually your focus deteriorates quite quickly, so that you won't be as efficient in 3 hours if you do it in one block than you can be if you spread it out more.
Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm listening to you on the answer to that question, because I think when it comes to studying outside of poker, I mean, my approach certainly isn't always the most GTO. I just put in a lot of hours at it. So I don't necessarily take the most efficient route, but I take in a route where I just put a lot of time into it and I keep at it. I keep doing it every single day. And I think for me, that usually works out pretty well. Just consistency really is the most important thing for myself. Persistence and consistency.
Yeah. I think though, efficiency is pretty important as well, because you can just save so much time. And especially when I was playing and studying in the uni, that was just a big thing for me. I just needed to be more efficient. And I also have a relationship. So you just have to find ways where you can learn more in a given time frame. And
so
that was my
relationship. So that way I'm more efficient with the time that I do spend that isn't with the relationship.
What do you mean?
Well, if I get a relationship, that means that I'm going to be spending time with her. Therefore, the other time, because now I just have so much I have so much time to spend every single day. Like I don't have to think about, I have all this time to spend on the things I'm doing. Whereas if I had that relationship, then maybe I got to put time into, I don't know. It forced me to be more efficient with the hours I do spend on the things that I spend it on.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, you don't really control whether or not you get into a relationship, you just
technically I can control it. I mean, I think it's all a state of the way I look at it. If I say I don't want to be in a relationship, I'm not going to be in one. But if I say, hey, I'm at a time where I can potentially be in one, then I'm going to be in one, or I could be in one. I'm not necessarily going to, but I may be, because, you know, you meet, I mean, I don't know, Ongun, you meet a lot of, you know, listen, I don't know, man, you know, maybe, I don't know, whatever. You got any nicknames, Ongun? Is that your girlfriend call you any nicknames that you haven't shared with anybody in the group yet?
Not like we have our nicknames here, but
And be careful about this. Let's assume I know the answer to this question already before we get into the answer. So, does she have any nicknames that would sound really great that you haven't shared with with myself or with anybody else?
No, I would say no.
What's the first letter of your name?
Of my name?
Yeah, what's the first letter of your first name?
Of my first name? You know my first name. It's Ongun.
Yeah. What is it? I just want you to say it though.
Okay. Oh.
Oh. Okay. What's one of my favorite sayings to say?
Papi.
Starts with a G.
Starts with a G.
G.
GTO?
GTO. Okay. I heard there's a nickname that has to do with. You want to share this nickname that your girlfriend may call you? I heard there's a great nickname, like one of the best nicknames I've ever heard in my life.
You mean GT Ongun?
GT Ongun. What kind of name of all time? Your girlfriend took the first letter of your name and put it into GTO and just took out GT your name. It's GT Ongun. It's crazy. That's one of the coolest nicknames I've ever heard in my life. GT Ongun.
You know that she made that up during our conversation with Jonah. It's quite funny.
On the spot, right there.
Yeah, right there. I swear, it wasn't a thing before that. I'm telling you.
So your girlfriend gave you the nickname GT Ongun, and it's such a great name, GTO. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I couldn't ask for a better nickname for a person. I just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad my name begins with an O, you know? That's
true. I've been thinking about some other nicknames maybe I could do with other letters, like if it starts with a P, I can go Pizzle, or Patrick, or something. I don't know, man. Listen, I'm just like, my mind and my brain has been thinking nonstop about nickname combinations and combinatorics and breaking things down from a statistical point of view when it comes to these different things. Ever since I heard GT Ongun, my mind's just been racing with the possibilities of expanding words together. And it was like it was crazy when I heard this from Jonah. You let me know.
Yeah, I think it's great. I like the nickname.
Dare I say?
It was quite funny in the moment as well. Like she just popped it out. Or can you say it like that?
Yeah, she popped it out. Yeah, she popped it out. Yeah. Yeah. Nasty Nate says Yardstick's my personal favorite. Listen, man. Yardstick's one of my favorite nicknames too. Tutu Andrew, aka Big Dog, aka Yardstick, aka Stallion. I agree. That's just Pot Limit Omaha. I think Pot Limit Jomaha, one person said in the chat one time. I don't know if I like that one though. Pot Limit Omaha could be something. So, but so now I know you're taking a little break here before Scoop starts off. So what's kind of your thoughts on your approach on not burning out, because before Scoop's coming up and you're gonna be playing a lot?
Yeah. So I just noticed that I put in a lot of volume, or like for my standards, it's a lot of volume. In like this year, and I kind of felt like Scoop is going to be a big grind, so I should take some time off, take a break, kind of recharge, and then go into Scoop with all my energy.
Yeah, I like that. You don't think you need to stay stay sharp or stay sort of focused? You think that time off will be a good thing for you then?
Well, I'm still studying. I'm not taking off time from that angle. I'm just taking off time from the grind. And kind of, because like when I'm only studying and not playing, my sleep schedule tends to be stable. And then I usually feel more energetic throughout the day. So
maybe I should have tried that more in my life. It makes so much sense. I don't know. Like, to me, that was never an option. It was never like, hey, why don't you just not play and study? It's more like the study goes with the play. It's not independent. It's like you don't just, I don't know. For me, it was never that way. Maybe I should have done it that way, because that seems like a pretty GTO approach to take with it. Dare I say GT Ongun approach to take with it.
Yeah, I mean, but like different people, different styles. So I I think your style works pretty good for you.
Yeah, my gosh.
Why? What's up?
Yeah,
You don't think
I don't
so?
know. I don't know. It's some. I think I've when I think about it, that all the times I took time off and then I came back to play, it's when I always didn't perform my best in terms of results of the tables.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, makes sense, right?
What do you plan to play for Scoop? What's on the schedule? What's on the lineup? What's on the docket?
I don't know. I haven't put one out really. I'm probably going to play as high as I can within like reasonable bankroll management, and yeah, I'm not really looking to sell any action because I don't really see the benefit in like grinding higher, and because like effectively it doesn't make really a lot of sense because like I would just sell to I would just sell most of it and then play the buy-in that I would play usually. Like, you know, when I would play a 10K and say I have a roll to play a 4K, I'm still going to sell 6K and then it's effectively a 4K. So why wouldn't I just jump into the 4K and play a standard 4K? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't make much sense to me. I'm not out there for the glory as well. Like I'm not out there to win a 10K and then to say, hey, you know, I won a 10K. I just don't
So
really.
what if the structure and the value in a 10K that's presented to you in terms of the field is very soft compared to a similar 4K that might not exist in terms of might just not be there on the schedule, and also the player pool might be a little bit different if it is, you know what I'm saying? So maybe certain 10Ks do have a lot of value from that standpoint to play.
Sure. I mean, if there's nothing else to play that is EV wise comparable, if it was way better EV, I would play it. But usually that's not the case, I would say, especially not online. You can argue like live it's different, but if you play online, I feel like there is a lot to play. So yeah.
Shout out to the hashtag King in the chat. I told hashtag King no spamming in the chat, man. That's my guy, hashtag King. But lay down the law, man. You know hashtag King on Gun. You ever heard of hashtag King before?
No, not really.
Oh man.
I'm not on Twitter, so.
First of all, this kid, he thinks his squad goes harder than my squad. Obviously, it's not true. No matter what. Listen, hashtag King. No matter how hard your fucking squad goes, don't go harder than my squad, all right? Let's just lay it down like that. Second of all, I think he was trying to sell action for the upcoming Poker Night America. And I was surprised because, you know, he always talks about how he's going to send everybody broke, man. So I don't know, hashtag. I'm hoping you put on a good performance this weekend, my friend. But I don't know. Don't lose all your money, Poppy. That's all I got to say, man. Shout out to hashtag King. So yeah. So there is no, like, for the $4,000 tournaments, there are no $4,000 tournaments. And there are no, you know, there's nothing between nonstop. So there's nothing between 2K and 10K and Scoop, I think. So in that situation, you know, that sort of gives you the opportunity to play that 10K with, you know, maybe a little bit more money on the line or maybe something a little bit higher in that situation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I haven't really, that was just an example. So I haven't really looked into it that much yet. But I'm just not going to play a 10K. I don't even know if I have an edge in that field. So I don't even know how the field is going to look like. And I am also not really keen to play a 10K with just huge variance.
What about the Scoop main event? Is that a 5K or something? 50 something?
Probably. I think
10.3K or something like that.
Yeah, in the past it was a 5K. I'm not sure. I would have to sell action. Depends on the field, I would say, whether or not I would like to jump in. And as I said, man, in the past, I just had problems to sell action. So at some point, I was just like reluctant to even try. So yeah.
Something tells me I think you could sell action these days. I got a feeling.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
A feeling. Just got where I just got
the podcast run good is on my side, right? After this.
Well, I don't know. You've been running so good. I don't know if I can possibly enhance the run good you experience. I don't know if it's possible, man.
We'll see.
Let's talk about your blog, man. So obviously you're very passionate about things outside of poker as well. One of those things is just the world, the environment, the longevity of Earth as a whole. And I know you just recently started a blog about it. I always encourage you to write more on there. So what's kind of, talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that whole thing started with, I got interested in like Elon Musk and the stuff that he does with his companies. And one day, or like in one video, he said, if something is important enough, you should try it, or you should do it even though the odds are not in your favor. And that quote or that sentence was just stuck in my mind for a couple of days. And then I thought, like, I always had an interest in like global social problems and figuring out ways to solve them. And so I thought that this is something that is important enough to try to contribute something to solving them. And then I started this blog. It's called planetrenew.wordpress.com. There you can find it. And yeah, basically, so the first thing I wrote about was climate change. And yeah, man, that's basically it. I'm going to try to update as regularly as I can, but it's not really high up in my list of priorities. I'm in the first place, I'm a poker player, and then I'm a writer or a blogger or whatever.
An activist.
An activist, maybe, yeah. Well, I mean, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. Yeah.
Seemed like you were more excited to write a couple months back, and now that desire to write has sort of gone by the wayside a little bit, to the desire to put out more content related to that.
I just try to. I don't force it really. Like, I don't sit down and like sit there until I get something that I want to write about. I try to let it come to me naturally, and that just takes time sometimes. And yeah. Do you think I should put more time into it?
I think so, technically. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like something, if you cared about it and you're passionate about it, I would probably put more time into it if I were you. I think it's probably a good thing to do in the meantime when you're, the downtime, or when you're not playing poker, when you're not studying. It's sort of something that you also enjoy and are passionate about and care about. And I don't know, it seems like it could be something. Yeah, it could be something else. I've always got that impression from you that you wanted to spend more time with that and wanted to put more into that, and maybe meet some like-minded people who also shared some of the same, same thoughts, or just had a discussion about those type of topics too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I hope through this podcast as well that people, like, just to spread the word and get people to think about it. And I mean, yeah, we'll see. If you if those topics are interesting to you, then I mean, please go ahead and check out the blog and contact me. And yeah, let's get in touch.
Jonas says, Ongun said that if money was not an issue, he would still play poker. Where does he hope poker takes him, and any ideas, plans for things outside of poker?
So where do I think poker will take me? I mean, poker gives me the opportunity to be my own boss. I have met awesome people through it, which I really admire. I have financial freedom, and I don't really have like a big dream within poker. I think I'm just sort of laddering up, and that's what I've been doing in the past as well. And yeah, just basically do what I'm doing now within poker. Outside of poker, I don't really know. I can, as I said earlier, like I can imagine myself being in a lot of industries, and I'm open to a lot of things. And yeah.
The world is your oyster, my friend. Who knows? You're still young. You're still very young, and you got many years to decide what to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm pretty happy with my life the way it is right now. So I don't have the urge to change a lot of things.
Right. Start looking for ways out of it, or looking for solutions, or looking for answers to questions that you don't necessarily have right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty happy the way, like, I'm going to play poker until I am not profitable anymore. And then I'm going to look into something else. Maybe I'm going to build a business around, like I could see myself starting a business, for example. That would be something that's interesting to me. And I think the natural skills of a poker player apply pretty well to building a business. And so yeah, we'll see. Any type of project that is interesting, I can see myself in. Like,
you sort of answered Jonah's question he had in the chat, which was, does Ongun think he sees himself being an entrepreneur in the future? You answered his question before he asked it. And then you were saying it, and then as he was answering it, which was a delay on. There's a delay, 30-second delay. So you read his mind. Dare I say, GT Ongun. Exactly, Johnny. Guys, take some questions from the chat. You want to give any shout outs, Ongun? You got somebody out there watching GT Ongun who might be listening, or you want to give a special hello to, or a special salute, or a special quavadavide?
Of course, my girlfriend. I mean, we've mentioned her a couple of times now. And then all my friends. Shout out to them. And to Ben Tollerine, because he's awesome. And I don't think without the podcast you guys did, I wouldn't be here where I am today. And yeah, I would just because he, like, on the second podcast you did, he broke down this hand, and my mind was just blown away. And then I started, and he was talking about coaching and all the advice that he gave. Basically, I can't really do it better than him. So if you want to have the advice, just go back and watch the second podcast. And all the advice he gave just improved my poker career by, I don't know how much, but by an insane amount.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's really awesome. There are a couple of guys who I think contributed a lot to my career, and that was the guy who staked me to begin with. Because, like, without him, I would probably just be dunking around in live poker. And then Ben, because he did that podcast. And without it, I would probably never really work on my game, and I would have never started to study that much.
It's awesome, man. Big shout out Ben Tollerine.
For sure.
Shout out to him. I'm going to give some shout outs here. Hold on a second. Let me give some shout outs to people watching live. We got We got Jonah Vell out there. What's up, Jonah? Hello, Poppy. Kip Slip. Ben86 is a god. Much shout out to you. Silver's in the chat. Man, we got all the weird motherfuckers in the chat today, man. We got Blufftown out here. We got Hashtag King in here. Charisma91. He's not that weird. Martin Peacock, definitely one of the weirdest guys we got all the time here. Mic'd Up, another weird guy. But, you know, we got love for the weird guys, no doubt about it. But at the same time, man, Ball Balky's in the chat. Brian O'Connor, Tad Don't Play, Masterpiece 111, Smoke on it, Brendan Clark. What's up, Poppies? What's happening, man? What's going on? Hashtag King in the chat, man. Shout out to Brendan. We got Brendan in the chat, man. I know, man. Brendan's alive. He ain't dead. He ain't died. He's alive, man.
Yeah, Brendan is awesome. I really like him.
Yeah. You got a you have a Luke Schwartz and are you gonna say about Brendan one more thing?
No, I wanted to ask you about Ben. If you know what's the situation with Doug and him.
With Doug and Ben? Doug and Ben Collarine?
Yeah, got that solved or something?
Exactly what it was before.
Yeah. Oh, it's exactly there. There's like
I don't think there's been any further advancements of that relationship. No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. All right.
Listen, I don't know whatever happened. That's it.
That was
I don't see something coming. I don't see something happening from that. No.
Okay. That's a pity because like both of them are really cool, I think, and awesome persons, both of them, and it's really a shame that happened.
I agree. That's what I said right when it happened. I said it's a shame this is happening. I wish it didn't happen. I wish something, I wish it didn't come to that. I wish it could have been discussed privately and maybe fixed, but at the same time it happens, and I don't know. It kind of just is, It is what it is, unfortunately. So kind of sucks, definitely.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Cheese says, thanks for the show, Joey from Australia. I rose at 3 a.m. for this. Much love, Poppy. Much love, man. Blake Gibson's in the chat. What's up, Blake? Easy peasy 69. Luke Schwartz impression. You got a Luke Schwartz impression on Gun?
Luke Schwartz impression. Can you give me his voice? He's like how he talks.
Not really. No, I don't know. I can't. He like does a yo, man, a beast high stakes, yeah? I don't know.
Yo, pigeons.
This pigeon, yeah? He fucking come to me, yeah? He said, hey, yeah, I'm gonna play you heads up, yeah? And I said, what the fuck, yeah? I ain't gonna be, fuck you, yeah? I don't know, man. It's how it kind of sounds. I'm not sure.
That was a good one.
Well, you got one?
No, I mean, your impression was pretty good.
Independent of mine, I gave you the voice. You're gonna give now. You
already gave it. I can't do it better than you just did.
Well, do you have Johnny says, do you have an impression of me?
Let's fucking go, guys. That's all I got.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
Okay, that was all right. That was okay. Poppy, we got hashtag King that says, I will bow down to Poppy for his podcasting skills only. Listen, man, you're gonna be bowed down to me some other things, Poppy. You can fucking show you what I got, kid. Bang, bang. And I ain't even gonna, hey, listen, man, don't even need no words for that, kid. Don't even need no words. Anybody in the question in the chat got a couple more questions and we'll take it, man. What you got planned coming up? You're gonna go spend some time with the girl. You're gonna go, you got the scoop coming up. You're gonna be playing a lot of that. Is that kind of your immediate plans here for the near future?
Yeah, just play as much during scoop as I can. Take some time off before that and focus on just relaxing. That's it.
Simple enough. Did Ongun get a grindhouse sorted for scoop or not?
Oh no! If anyone is interested in that, I would definitely be down to do that. Yeah. But it's a bit like we have 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get it organized, but going to be hard.
Does Blufftown says, does sex improve GT Ongun's poker game?
Just I don't think so, no.
Oh shit, Balbaki, any poker book suggestions? Well, obviously Chasing the Poker Dream, The Qualities of a Successful Poker Player by Joe Ingram. Of course, that's one of the best books out there for poker. Do you have any other poker book suggestions, Ongun?
Poker books? No, I haven't read any poker books since a long time, so I don't know.
Brendan says, does Ongun know he's getting crushed by me in open face, and will he try and get better? Hey, is open face considered poker, or is that not poker?
Yeah.
Ongun. Poker?
First of all, play back, bitch. And second of all, I think it's considered poker, but I'm not sure. It's pineapple though.
That seems like poker to me, doesn't it? We got a prop bet, baby. I might just won myself some money. Yeah, okay. I might have just won myself some money. Johnny Spice says, has Joey given you any good advice about sex in the last 8 months, or is it all absolute trash?
Any good advice about sex? We haven't really talked about sex. Have we?
It's true, we haven't.
I mean,
you're not working on your game with your girl, man. I don't know. I said I want to become one of the best. I want to become one of the best at sex in the entire world. That's my goal. I want to be such a great lover, such a great pleaser, such a great mutual something with my partner. That's my goal, man. I'm working them in the lab. I'm studying. I'm running sims. I'm doing all kind of things.
All right. And how's your progress coming along?
Dare I say, GT? It's coming along well, my friend. It's coming along well. You got to ask my friends. I don't know.
And how do you measure it?
By the amount, by their expressions.
Okay.
By their expressions. No, listen, I got whatever, man. I don't want to get into it, man. We'll take a couple more questions. We're gonna wrap things up. I appreciate you coming on the pod, though, man, my friend. Appreciate you making your debut appearance that way when you're one of the top poker players in the world. In a couple years, be able to look back on this podcast Fedor style and say, hey, he was on the podcast back then before it happened, man, before it took place. I see it happening, man. I see it coming.
Hopefully. But yeah, thanks for having me. It was I've been a fan of your work since a couple of years, and I have actually dreamed about this happening, so it's pretty cool that it comes true.
Sometimes dreams, listen, I used to dream about being on podcasts when I was coming up. I was like, man, I can't, I want to be on that podcast one day. And then when it actually happens, I'm just, it's crazy. I've always had that same sort of thing.
Yeah.
So.
And I think your podcast in the poker community is especially respected amongst players.
Well, that's fucking good. I'm happy about that. You guess who we're having on next, Ongun?
Who is it?
The young prince, Fedor Holes, will be back on the podcast sometime. I think sometimes next week we're talking. So that might be the one next podcast I actually do is going to be next week with Fedor Holes. Since after right now, it's just going to be Pot Limit Omaha videos, Peel Ochre Hands, and Peel Ochre Hands. So.
Awesome.
So that's gonna be it.
Podcast in PCA was great, by the way.
Oh, with Fedor when he tried to
What?
he was working the Fedor, man. He was young Princin. He was working the young Prince magic. Sprinkle a little bit of fairy dust here. Put a little bit of magic Prince dust there.
How long did that go? That podcast?
5 hours. It was a 5-hour podcast. Me and Fedor.
Wow. Amazing. 5 hours.
Listen, that podcast ran the gamut of emotions. Let's put it like that. It was high. It was low. It was up. It was down. It was around and around and around. I thought I was gonna be taking out a fucking video camera at some point in time and maybe filming a little show or something like that. So hey, listen, it was a good time though. I enjoyed it. Looking back, it was one of the most fun podcasts of all time. And just happy to do it. Let me find one more question here from Johnny Spicer. Johnny says, how did it affect your day-to-day life emotions when you were downswinging at the end of last year compared to your recent run of binking everything ever?
How do the emotions compare? Oh, what was that?
How did it affect your day-to-day life / emotions when you were downswinging at the end of last year compared to your recent run of binking everything ever?
The emotions, I wrote about that in the forums a bit. I just felt completely destroyed during that downswing. Emotionally and motivationally and mentally and whatever else. I think I cried multiple times. I thought I would never beat poker again. I thought I would never get out there again. It just felt like every flip, I would just lose every flip.
Mm-hmm.
And but I just found myself every time again at the tables. And if that happens, I think that's a good sign. If you're going through rough times, but you still like keep going and still do it, that's a really, really good sign, as of the thing you do is something that suits you, I think. My day-to-day, I think it didn't really change all that much. I think I still did the things I do right now. And I think usually I play during downswings, I just play less and study more. And yeah, that's the only thing that really changes, I think.
Simple. More study.
More study.
More study. Some emotions, showing some emotions.
For sure, a lot of emotions. Yeah.
I like that, man. I like that.
That's how it goes, man.
One last. No, I'm not going to ask that question. We had one more question in the chat. I'm not going to ask this question. I don't want to, but I think we're going to wrap it up. If they want to follow you on Gun, where can they follow you? You got something for the people?
I guess I'm not really big on social media. I think you can add me on Facebook, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, they can add you on Facebook.
Much.
That's about it. All right. Well, if you want to follow me, guys, we're on Instagram, Puppy GTO. Make sure you guys smash that like button here on the podcast to end the pandemic that's going around YouTube, where hashtag King's commenting in all the fucking comments, man. Make sure if you want to end hashtag King commenting on videos, you're going to smash that like button here and end the pandemic that's going on. Ongun, I appreciate you coming on, my friend. I will, obviously, I'll talk to you very soon. And everyone in the chat, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the heart, all the soul, all the love, all the support. And that's all we got. Ongun, I wish you luck, my friend, and good luck.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. See everybody later. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.